Hello, I'm Mike Levin from MikeLevinSEO.com, and I'm here walking the big guy again. And I've been thinking about some questions I've been getting over the YouTube and G+ comments, and sometimes they revolve around how much I keep my mistakes intact and how little editing I do. And I'm trying to draw the right compromise between the patience, the short attention spans of YouTube, and the huge differentiation it makes for me to capture the genuine moment of discovery. Most people, I think, edit out their mistakes, and there's this desire to make themselves look perfect, superhuman, and that ain't reality. And I think documentation out there would be a lot better if people didn't get so hung up on sanitizing every little bit. More and better examples is good. The people who need to follow similar paths will work their way through it. Not that you want a terrible signal to noise ratio. You don't want to make everything presenting a challenge, and therein lies the balance. I'm a big believer in a sort of chisel strike approach to doing work. Work doesn't get done in tiny little consistent baby steps, although I'd really like it to. Work gets done in fits of inspiration, little moments of insight that you seize upon, and you take a tiny step forward, which is actually really quite a large step forward, and it creates 10 or 20 new vectors of possibility, directions you can go. And that then is paralyzing. So A, you had to have the insight to get to that moment that opens up those possibilities, and then B, you have to have the clarity of vision to know which path to take, and to get over the paralysis and to accept that you might not be taking the optimized path. But that's why experience layers on experience layers on experience. Everything that is stable and good in this world that I would say is alive has a capillary system, like the trees. How trees have a trunk really quite narrow for what it's holding up, but on two ends it's sending out a system of smaller and smaller and smaller little branches. Upwards, of course, you've got the branches and the leaves to catch the sunlight, and downwards you've got the root system to get the water and nutrients out of the ground. And that's a metaphor for experience. If you're not creating all those branches and all the tiny twigs and then the tiny capillaries and veins coming off of them, you haven't sampled enough of the environment and world around you to make good decisions and to make a stable base. And I say living things because you can have a plenty stable base in like a pyramid shape. You stack rocks in a pyramid, wide at the bottom, but that's a static world. Things don't work that way. We've got a lot of living creatures moving around, interacting with each other, and with that mobility comes not large bases. We're not living tanks. We're wobbly, upright things on feet, and therefore we almost by definition live in this precarious balance between complete catastrophic and sudden collapse and mastery of our world. And when you work your way through these programming decisions, you at first do it like an infant, learning to walk, making every mistake. And then after 5, 10, 20 years, it becomes very natural. And quite frankly, I haven't been at it that long. I'm not talking from the super seasoned position because I have not been on the same language or code execution environment for 5, 10, 20 years. I've been on Python for about 5. And even at that, it's been a casual side thing while I've worked as a director and, you know, all these capacities where I was everything but a programmer, except for a very brief time, during which time I did not do any Python. I was doing JavaScript. So you got to actually be bilingual these days too. You got to learn JavaScript plus a language you can love. So this is what I'm doing right now. I'm doing a project now that I have enough experience to make those moments of insight come at a much more rapid pace than the first go around of a project similar to this, and to take more optimized paths when those breakthroughs open 10 or 20 different, you know, choices for me. And to bring it all the way back around, I mean, I'm discovering the nuances of G-spread as opposed to G-data. I'm jumping on the GitHub open source bandwagon for a key piece of the project I'm doing. But it's not such a key piece that I couldn't live without it. You're reducing fragility based on dependencies. I've got quite a few dependencies in there, but they're collectively wise ones. The wisdom of the crowd has shaken out just about everything in my decision chain here, such as Flask, and there's 2 things that's based on. It's always difficult for me to remember their names, like Wurzkeg or Jinja or something. But at any rate, they're Python libraries that are very commonly used, requirements and a lot of different things. And I'll be adding to that mix the requests object for similar reasons. As awesome as Python is, it's got its rough edges, and it's better to make life easy. And my code will, as a result, be much, much cleaner too. My code when I was using G-data was not exactly the cleanest code, but now that I see how simplified and, you know, purposeful for the use case that G-spread is, I can see already it's going to be beautiful code. And I'm going into the weekend now, and won't have much chance to look at or address these things until Monday when I get back to it, hopefully, but Monday later in the day because I've got some appointments in the morning. And hopefully this is fun to follow along with. And thanks for joining me, and say goodbye to Cecil. And don't forget to subscribe.